Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. In this episode, I'm going to detail the story of OG Pretty Boy from the Rollin 60 Crips. Pretty Boy was born Leo Victor Smith on June 8, 1961 in New Orleans, Louisiana, but he would later move as a child and grow up in Los Angeles, California. Pretty Boy first settled on the east side of South Central, living on 76 in Wadsworth, which would be the same street that Crip founder Raymond Washington would live on. This would be in the 70s, and by this time, Raymond Washington's name was already ringing, and he was already known around Los Angeles as being the leader of the Crips. The Crips were a gang becoming larger than life, with Crips that's popping up all over Los Angeles by this time. Pretty Boy would gain a good relationship with Raymond Washington, was seeing him every day, and Raymond being a lot older, he would look out for Pretty Boy in different situations, like Pretty Boy firing a weapon and accidentally shooting a gun at his neighbor's window. His neighbors tried to fight him, but Raymond stopped that situation, saving Pretty Boy from his older neighbors. Raymond Washington would have a major impact on Pretty Boy, and he would admire Raymond off several factors, like him being fearless and the respect he demanded, which Pretty Boy would later win in life. Pretty Boy would later move from the east side and move to the west side of South Central, on 67 and Western, which is known as the Rollin 60 Crips turf. Pretty Boy would attend 74th Street Elementary, where he would meet several lifelong friends, who would later embark on a life of crime, becoming Rollin 60 Crip members. Some of Pretty Boy's childhood friends would include people like Shyster, Mumpy, Doe-Eye, Moncrief, Babyface, Lunatic Frank, Pieface, and Joe Rat, among others. A lot of these guys would go on to be mentioned in A-Tray Gangsta Crip member Mr. Kody's book. Pretty Boy would go on to attend Horace Mann Middle School around 1973, where he would start being active in the gang lifestyle. He would meet other major Crip founder, Tookie Williams. He would take a lot of things he learned from the OGs and use them to become, what he would say, striving to be number one in the streets. Going to Horace Mann Middle School, Pretty Boy and several of his friends would later become friends with a lot of kids from another community on the area of the west side of South Central that also became well known, being known as the A-Tray Gangsta Crips. Pretty Boy would have a good relationship with many legendary figures from the A-Trays, like Big Sidewinder, Hunchy, and Baycut, among others. Pretty Boy would even become close friends with legendary A-Tray Gangsta member, Mr. Kody's older brother. Mr. Kody and Pretty Boy would even become good friends themselves. They would even commit robberies together and gangbang on people. Both communities had a lot of kids from both areas, and with their territories being so close, both sides would grow with each other. Kids from the Rollin 60s and kids from the A-Tray Gangsta's turf had a brotherly relationship. But by 1979, that brotherly relationship would take a major turn for the worse. March 8, 1979, several Rollin 60s and A-Tray Gangsta Crips would meet up to fight to get a dispute squashed, but a simple fight would lead to what we know as one of the most dangerous gang rivalries in LA history. This fight led to Tyrone, a teenage member of the Rollin 60 Crips, being shot by a new recruit of the A-Tray Gangsta Crips. Him being shot would cost Tyrone his life. And this wouldn't be the end of it. The Rollin 60s wanted revenge for Tyrone, who was OG Big Rick's little brother. Big Rick was a highly respected member of the gang. The 60s and the A-Trays relationship was so close until that point that the 60s didn't want war with the A-Trays. They just wanted to kill the new recruit. The A-Trays barely knew the new recruit and couldn't get the 60s the info they wanted. The Rollin 60s would take this as disrespect and felt that the A-Trays was not trying to give up the new recruit. And this would spark a crazy rivalry that will last to this current day. There has been over 40 years of war. What made this war so crazy when it first started was many friends were turned rivals, just off their gang affiliations, leading to people who grew up together and loved each other, going to war, trying to shoot each other, and kill each other.
September 27, 1979, the Rollin 60s and the A-Trays have been mortal enemies. They've killed over 20 of my homies, and we've killed over, I'm sure, 27, 28, 9 of them.
What made the A-Tray and 60 war so bad? Everyone at the start of the war were friends. They even knew where most of each other lived. This made a lot of ex-friends give each other passes, but this wouldn't last long, and back and forth shootings would take over. Pretty Boy would go on to go to Crenshaw High School, but he would take his street life more serious than anything. He would gain the name Pretty Boy after mobster Pretty Boy Floyd, with Pretty Boy known for watching mob movies and also being known for using his gun. Pretty Boy, by many accounts, and even according to Mr. Kody, Pretty Boy was fiercely loyal to his hood and willing to do anything for the Rollin 60s. This meant engaging in several shootouts and shootouts in honor of his gang. He would even engage in several shootouts with one's friend turned rival, Monster Kody, on multiple occasions, like a shootout at Jesse Owens Park, which Monster Kody and his group would shoot at Pretty Boy and his crew. Pretty Boy wanted revenge, would go back shooting at the A-Trays, and they would come back and do the same. So this back and forth shooting led to a crazy situation. With his reputation, Pretty Boy's name would be brought up in a lot in the streets, like the death of teenage A-Tray gangster member, Twinkie, who died in 1980. From Monster Kody's book, The Autobiography of a LA Gang Member, that came out in 1993, Kody states, Pretty Boy's car was seen at the scene of Twinkie's death, minutes before he died. Pretty Boy's name would be ringing in the 60s by 1980, and Monster Kody himself in his book would say Pretty Boy was involved in Twinkie's death. Monster Kody would state in his book that Pretty Boy was one of the biggest threats to the A-Tray Gangstas, and he was on their most wanted list. By December of 1980, Monster Kody would be ambushed and shot at the Western Surplus. The name coming up who did it would be Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy would later be picked up for shooting Monster Kody, and Monster Kody would say Pretty Boy didn't do it from his book.
It's hectic. I've been shot 7 times. I've been shot 6 times by Rollin 60's. 6 times at once.
But many would beg to differ. And this and other shooting charges would lead to Pretty Boy being sent to county jail, and then later prison. Pretty Boy would receive 27 years to life, and he would serve 32 years in prison. Going to prison, Pretty Boy would see how different everything was from the streets. He went from shooting at the A-Trays and risking his life in a war, to going to prison and hanging out with some A-Trays. He wouldn't be at war with his old rivals, but some new ones, being whites and Mexicans. Pretty Boy would engage in several riots and be a part of a lot in prison, especially with him being on a level 4 prison yard. But besides the negatives, Pretty Boy educated himself in prison and gained a different perspective about life, and even participated in a jail band, with him being a great guitarist. Pretty Boy wouldn't be released until 2015. After being released from prison, Pretty Boy would start his free life on the right path, working jobs like construction, and fully dedicating himself to his music, which he was a great guitarist like I said before, and showed off his skills all over social media. After Pretty Boy's release, he would later do several interviews describing his life story with several platforms, like Kev Mac and Street TV. After so many years, Monster Kody and Pretty Boy both being out of prison, they would hold convos and talk about seeing each other, and doing a meeting to do an interview, with them not seeing each other in over 30 years. But Monster Kody would die on June 6, 2021, so that rekindle of their friendship never got to fully happen. Pretty Boy would be invited to Monster Kody's funeral by his brother, and he would even speak at the funeral. Pretty Boy would continue to do several interviews and have an active presence on social media, promoting his music, and also preaching to the youth the effects of gangbanging off his experience in the streets and what it could cost you. But unfortunately, Pretty Boy would die on April 8, 2024. Many people would come out to his funeral to celebrate his life. He may have started on a path of destruction, but his life ended in a lot of redemption and righting his wrongs. RIP to him. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my previous episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.